Mike Tyson has never faced an opponent that can take him out with one punch. Right? If I hit Mike Tyson with my best punch, he will go out. There's no doubt about it.
Mike Tyson had faced some terrifying punchers. But one man had the power to end the fight with a single punch, James "Bonecrusher" Smith. And his nickname told you everything you needed to know. He was the kind of heavyweight who could make even the most feared fighters think twice. And on one unforgettable night, Tyson was forced to deal with a threat that had the power to turn everything upside down. Here's what really happened on the night that shocked the boxing world. By the time Mike Tyson was just 20 years old, he had already stepped into the ring with all kinds of fighters. He had faced huge heavyweights who relied on brute strength, reckless brawlers, and even proven champions. But one after another, none of them seemed capable of seriously challenging Tyson. Every opponent appeared to fall before him, making the young heavyweight look almost impossible to beat. At that point, Tyson seemed completely unstoppable. But there was still one kind of challenge he had yet to experience, a heavyweight with truly terrifying one-punch power. And that man was the reigning WBA champion, James "Bonecrusher" Smith. Smith was known as one of the wildest and most intimidating men in the heavyweight division. What made his story even more interesting was his past. Before becoming a professional boxer, Smith had served as a soldier, and according to the story, he earned his fearsome nickname, Bonecrusher, on the battlefield. But walking away from a life of fighting wasn't easy for a man like Smith. Retirement simply couldn't keep him away for long. His hunger for battle and competition eventually pulled the giant heavyweight back into the violent world he knew best. And once he returned to the ring, James "Bonecrusher" Smith was ready to take on anyone standing in his way. Smith's punches were known for being incredibly powerful, and he had already ruined the plans of several promising fighters. He had even defeated the future boxing star Frank Bruno, proving that his power was more than just talk. So when the fight with Tyson was announced, many people believed Smith had a real chance. He was confident, experienced, and fully convinced that Tyson was about to face something he had never seen before. Smith didn't stay quiet either. He talked boldly about his chances, adding even more tension to the matchup.
If I hit Mike Tyson with my best punch, he will go out. There's no doubt about it.
If he go down with me, he will not get us. He will not get us.
That's why, when March 7, 1987 arrived, boxing fans everywhere were watching closely. For the first time, Mike Tyson was about to face a heavyweight who could truly test him. Before we move further, if you're enjoying this story, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next legendary boxing story. The opening bell rang, and Tyson came forward in his usual explosive style, looking to end the fight as quickly as possible. He immediately attacked Smith with heavy combinations, throwing one powerful shot after another and giving his opponent almost no time to breathe.
It's going to go to points anyway. I'm sure not surprised the way they've been bapping and boring close.
But something unexpected happened. Smith absorbed some of Tyson's biggest punches and somehow remained standing. It was becoming clear that Bonecrusher had no intention of simply giving in. He knew standing in front of Tyson and trading punches was dangerous, so he came into the fight with another strategy. Whenever Tyson got close enough to launch his combinations, Smith grabbed him and tied him up. Again and again, Tyson would rush forward, looking to attack the body or land his famous hooks, only for Smith to wrap his arms around him and stop the action completely. As the bell rang to end the round and the action was supposed to stop, Tyson was still boiling with frustration from the constant holding. Smith was directly in front of him, and Tyson suddenly threw a shot that connected with Smith's face after the bell. Tyson was normally the fighter making his opponents panic, but now Bonecrusher had found a way to frustrate the young champion and pull him into an uncomfortable kind of fight. As the fight reached its halfway point, Smith appeared to sense an opening. He began taking advantage of Tyson's frustration and suddenly changed the momentum of the fight. Smith connected with a crushing punch that sent Tyson down to his knees. For the first time, the young champion was in serious trouble, and Bonecrusher immediately recognized the opportunity. Instead of backing away, Smith turned up the pressure. He came forward aggressively, throwing heavy punches and trying to break through Tyson's defense before Iron Mike could recover. Every shot carried bad intentions, and for a moment, it looked like Smith had discovered the weakness everyone had been waiting to see.
And that was a hard ride indeed. And this will keep going at the after.
His confidence grew with every exchange. Smith even began taunting Tyson, acting as though the fight was already his and mentally spending the prize money before the final bell had even sounded. But there was one problem: he had counted Tyson out far too early. The punishment and exhausting exchanges had taken a toll, but Tyson slowly began to recover. After several brutal rounds, the young champion regained his composure, found his rhythm, and started firing back with the same dangerous intensity that had made him feared in the first place. Smith had enjoyed his moment of control, but Tyson was beginning to take the fight back. The final stages of the fight turned into an absolute war. Both heavyweights were exhausted, but neither man was willing to give an inch. It felt less like a battle for points and more like a fight to prove who could survive until the final bell. Tyson had been pushed harder than ever before, but instead of breaking under the pressure, he found another gear. He regained control, increased the pressure, and managed to finish the fight strongly by taking the final round. When the last bell finally rang, the judges had their decision. Mike Tyson was declared the winner, surviving one of the toughest challenges of his young career. Bonecrusher had pushed the champion to his limits, but Tyson had the final word, and the victory belonged to Iron Mike. But the craziest part is what this fight meant for Tyson's career. Mike Tyson was only 20 years old when he entered the ring against Smith, and when the fight was over, he had become the youngest heavyweight champion in boxing history. And Bonecrusher Smith wasn't some unknown opponent Tyson had been brought in to destroy. Smith was the reigning champion, a massive heavyweight with serious punching power, and a fighter who had already proven he could survive against some of the biggest names in the division. Smith had won the championship only months earlier by defeating Tim Witherspoon. And against Tyson, he came up with a strategy that was completely different from what fans expected. Instead of standing in front of Iron Mike and trying to exchange punches, Smith spent much of the fight grabbing, holding, and smothering Tyson's attacks. It was frustrating to watch, but it may have been the only reason he survived all 12 rounds. Because Tyson had already built a terrifying reputation for destroying opponents in just a few rounds. Many of his previous victims barely had time to understand what was happening before they were on the canvas. Smith, however, refused to become another quick highlight reel.